a really exciting and historic moment for Lipscomb University. We hope that it is an exciting and historic moment for downtown Nashville as we mark Lipscomb joining this very special community, a community that is very, very important to our city, a community which is really the economic engine of our city, a community that involves leaders making important decisions for our city. And we are thrilled to have the opportunity to come and to make a small investment, and yet one we hope is very significant in terms of creating some space, but also bringing some resources that can be helpful in the important work that is happening in the downtown district. Today, we recognize that what we celebrate and what we have the opportunity to enjoy is really the fruit of some tremendous partnerships as well as some very, very hard work. And many of you here today are Lipscomb's critical partners in terms of coming and doing something like this. And many of you here today have put in hours and hours of work. And so I want to begin with just a couple of thank yous and say thank you to the elected officials that are here today. Many of you were partners in this in terms of helping us think about this and getting signs approved and doing all sorts of different things. The mayor's office and Mayor Barry, that has been just a great partnership in terms of not only this space, but thinking about how to serve downtown and thinking about what it is that downtown needs and how Lipscomb can be a part of that. And so would you join me to begin in recognizing all of the publicly elected officials and their staffs that are here today. I also want to say thank you to the many people that worked extremely hard to make this happen. From our architects and our contractors and our engineers, I can tell you that going into a space that hadn't received any attention in about a decade and trying to figure out how to create this on the bottom side of a parking garage is not easy. And folks just did some masterful work to transform the space into what it is today. And so for all the folks that partnered with Lipscomb in terms of making this space a reality, would you join me in thanking them? This space is the result of a vision that really was originally constructed almost a decade ago in terms of thinking about what it might look like for Lipscomb to come and engage the downtown community in a more robust way. That vision originated with Lipscomb's president, Randy Lowry, who has been passionate about connecting Lipscomb with all of the energy and all of the leaders that exist downtown here. And so to kick us off this morning and to offer our first welcome, would you join me in welcoming Lipscomb's 17th president, Dr. L. Randolph Lowry.
Well, what a joy to be with all of you, and thank you for taking time out of a busy day, whatever that is, to pause for a moment and celebrate this. I think I said when we were across the street a year and a half ago, this was just an idea. I think I probably said something like, nothing ever rose to touch the sky unless some people dreamed that it could, others believed that it should, and still others willed that it would. And all that really tries to do is capture the people involved in a project like this. There are those who have some dreams, and if they walked in here a year and a half ago, they needed those dreams and those visions. There are others that believe it could happen, and still others that do all the work to make sure it does. And so why this doesn't really rise to touch the sky, as that quote might suggest, it really comes into the basement and the first floor of a wonderful facility. The reality is the same, and we thank you for that. We also look forward to all that will happen here. This we want to be for our Lipscomb community, but also for the larger community. And there's no way to imagine over the next decade the thousands and thousands of people whose careers will be enhanced, whose learning will be increased, whose conversations will be more meaningful because there's a place to do that. and a place that's compatible with those activities. So we look forward not to opening a facility, although this is kind of fun. We look forward to what will happen in this facility. And let me say a word about community. Because one of the things I've learned in the last 72 hours is it's a lot easier to build buildings than it is to build communities. And we are all part of the Nashville community, and a university is really just kind of a microcosm of that. As we invite students from, in our case, 57 countries and 47 states to bring all of their lives and their experience, their ethnic and cultural backgrounds, and all show up in this little place in Green Hills, and we have this expectation that it'll be easy to get along, easy to blend all of that, easy to understand each other, share our values, and work forward. And obviously, let's be real, it's not. It was a lot easier to manage a university with a minority population of 4% and a majority population that came from almost all the same church and the same culture and the same belief system. That's a lot easier. But we made the commitment 13 years ago that we were going to engage this university in this community, and this is one example of that, and that we were also going to invite into the community a much more diverse group of people. And I never will forget the first public program I did that invited Muslims, Jews, and Christians to talk together on a stage, and how difficult that was for the Nashville community. And through the 13 years that have gone since then, we've had wonderful, wonderful moments, graduating literally thousands of people that wouldn't have had an opportunity for higher education. And yet, as you can read in today's Tennessean, it's not always easy. And in having a group of African American students over to our house last week, after we had a group of Latino students over to our house the night before, in anticipation of a group of international students coming shortly, I mean, not all those dinners go right. And we had the unintentional but unfortunate moment of something offensive as part of a centerpiece, and all of a sudden we learn a lot about social media and the way the world works. And I've learned during the last 72 hours that our community is probably more divided than I understood. And there are those that believe an apology from a university president was the Christian and the right response. And there are those who believe even more viciously and with a sense of vulgar that apologizing was not the right thing to do. And so we go forward, not just building buildings, but we go forward with that dream of seeking to be a community that in our case we think God would have us be, but a community that brings together now not 4% minority students, but 23% minority students, one of the highest of any university in the state of Tennessee. And we will continue that journey. And we will continue it because for all of us, this community is important. And young people, even those that are a bit careless at times, deserve an education. And our city will be so much better if they get that. So thank you for being a part of that conversation as well. Many of you have been very encouraging. We recognize the diversity of ideas and backgrounds, but we also recognize that we must keep ahead of us that particular objective. May God bless us at Lipscomb, and may God bless us in this city as we seek to be the community He calls us to be.
Well, it is wonderful to be in this space this morning because I do remember standing across the street a year and a half ago and looking at this building and listening to the Dreamers and thinking, okay, I can't wait to see where this is going to go. And today we walk into this beautiful space, and I am once again reminded that the Dreamers are what make things possible. And so, Dr. Lowry, to you and to your team and to the Dreamers that are at Lipscomb, we appreciate you, and we appreciate all the hands that came together to make this such a beautiful space. We are joined today by several elected officials that I want to give a shout out to. We are standing in Councilman Freddie O'Connell's district and joined by Freddie there in the back. We are also joined by Councilman Russ Pulley, who is next to him, whose son is a student at Lipscomb. We are also joined, I think, by Representative Bill Beck and Councilmember Berkeley Allen. I know that they had RSVP'd. I want to thank Ralph Schultz and all of his staff at the Nashville Area Chamber of Commerce, as well as Tom Turner and his team down here, the Nashville Downtown Partnership, for everything that they do for downtown. It is the financial engine. It is the cultural heart of our city right here where we're standing. And I'm also heartened to think about the possibility of parking garages. Because, I can't say anything without saying transit, transit, transit. So once we solve our transit problem and we have beautiful parking garages, we can use these to do just this kind of civic activity. And it is beautiful, and I'm heartened to understand that this only took you all a year and a half. So maybe you all need to build our transit system. I always say that government can't do everything alone, and we can't. And this is a great example. And I am remembering last October when Lipscomb University stepped up and helped us in the mayor's office with the REAL dialogues. Many of you participated in the REAL dialogues. REAL stands for race, equity, and leadership. And those comprehensive community conversations that we started talked a lot about the issues in our city, about race, and about equity, and about leadership. And Lipscomb has been at the forefront in helping us have those very difficult conversations, and I'm grateful. We do know that eventually, though, conversations have to turn into action. So I think that is exactly the moment that we have right now as a city, is to take that community of which you speak and say, how do we engage and how do we move forward? And this building is a great space to do that. This is a place where our community can come together. Our community can have these difficult conversations. And I look forward to many of those opportunities, to coming down and being in this space, because I know with Spark and the collaboration that we have, a lot of that is going to happen more often. It's going to inspire bigger and better and greater ideas for all of Nashville. And we are truly grateful to Lipscomb for making this investment. Thank you.
Thank you, Mayor, for your leadership to the city and continuing to make downtown vibrant. And I'd like to thank Dr. Lowry for making this reality happen. I was across the street about a month ago, not a year and a half ago, when they unveiled the sign, and Dr. Lowry invited me to be here today, and I'm honored to be here. It's actually my third speech in 3 weeks related to Lipscomb. I was at the state capitol with Speaker Harwell talking about women's suffrage. I was at the Azell chapel talking about transit last week on a panel, and today with the kickoff of Spark. So I am going to have to leave early after this because I have a speech at the Centennial Club, but I want to welcome you and tell you a little about downtown history and why I'm excited that Lipscomb has come home. Yes, I did say come home, Dr. Lowry. There was a very famous hardware store on 2nd Avenue called H.G. Lipscomb, and that was David Lipscomb's brother, that he operated many, many years on one of the popular streets in town. And when Tom Ryman built his tabernacle just a block away from here, David Lipscomb personally was one of the donors to that wonderful building everyone loves today. But when you come to the Athens of the South, you think of lots of things, but 4th Avenue is truly one of my favorite streets in Nashville. Now, I know the mayor probably can't take sides with what's the favorite street of all the 525 square miles of Nashville, but I will make the argument for 4th Avenue today. Here are the historical buildings that have been on 4th Avenue and that are currently on 4th Avenue. Of course, we're on the corner of 4th and Commerce. Starting in North Nashville, the old Sulphur Dell was on 4th Avenue, where Babe Ruth hit a home run in the first inning of an exhibition game in 1927. Today, it's home of First Tennessee Park. WTVF, although it doesn't look like it, it's on 4th Avenue too, where Oprah Winfrey got her start and where the show Hee Haw was filmed. The Adelphi Theater, which was kind of near where Municipal Auditorium is, where Jenny Lind sung in the 1850s, was also on 4th Avenue, followed by the Bijou, which was the African-American theater at the time, which many people, including Bessie Smith, performed at. The Bijou was sadly torn down, and we have the Municipal Auditorium, which, of course, the Rolling Stones, the Beach Boys, Elvis, and many other great people. Then when you cross Charlotte, you get into the African-American business district of the city. The 1-cent savings bank was started on the corner of 4th and Charlotte. Today, you know the 1-cent savings bank, which was open for former slaves to open up accounts with literally a penny. You know it today as Citizens Bank, which is the oldest continuously owned black African-American bank in the country. There was the first African-American hotel in the city called the Harding House on 4th Avenue, where Frederick Douglass stayed when he visited Nashville. And on the corner of 4th and Union, Andrew Jackson had his law office with John Overton. Keep on going down 4th, the corner of 4th and Church Street, John Overton's son's famous Maxwell House Hotel, where the famous Maxwell House coffee became synonymous, and Nashville's first international food brand was exported from here, with Nashville on every 2-pound can and the picture of the Maxwell House Hotel. And across the street was the Life and Casualty Tower, which was the tallest building in the Southeast when Guilford Dudley helped build it in 1957. And of course, A.M. Burton, the visionary and generous benefactor of Lipscomb, was involved with the L&C Tower. Here we have, of course, our Spark campus, but keeping going down the street was my first job in Nashville at Hatch Show Print, where the Batman building is today. And across from Hatch, of course, is the back part of the Ryman Auditorium. If you keep on going down 4th Avenue, you run into the Symphony Hall, the Country Music Hall of Fame, and if you keep on going down 4th Avenue, you run into the Nashville City Cemetery, final resting place of many of our great leaders. So today we're here to celebrate a classroom, though. As the mayor said, this was a boring garage at once, cars and concrete. And I don't think the name Spark came from the spark plugs that were probably found by your contractors here when they were cleaning up this place. But you have transformed this place that used to be cars and concretes to classrooms and collaborations. Classrooms are the essential thing that makes us learn, that challenges us, and gets us to have dialogue with others. And in closing, I would like to talk about some famous classrooms in Nashville, Tennessee, some that you probably didn't know of, and the people who were educated in those classrooms. A young Reese Witherspoon was educated at Harpeth Hall. She learned in a Nashville classroom, as did General Frank Andrews, who was the 4-star general who led the Allied troops during World War II, sadly was killed. Andrews Air Force Base, now Joint Andrews, was named after him. His classroom was at Montgomery Bell Academy. Oprah Winfrey had 2 classrooms here, one at East High School, where she graduated from, and the other at Tennessee State University, another great Nashville classroom. One of my favorite people of the women's suffrage movement, Ann Dallas Dudley, had a classroom a few blocks away on Rosa Parks, and she first learned everything that led her to be a good leader. Dierks Bentley had a classroom at Vanderbilt University, and of course he has a place on 4th Avenue and Broadway, opening soon. As Betty Page, a lot of people don't know Betty Page was from Nashville, graduated from Hume-Fogg's salutatorian. She did very well in her classroom. And a classroom that made a difference, and obviously, actually, both of these 2 people spent a lot of time outside the classroom, John Lewis and Diane Nash. They are both people that are famous for what they did outside the classroom, but they were taught well at Fisk University. A lot of people don't know that the famous African-American playwright Zora Neale Hurston lived here in Nashville for 2 years. Her brother was at Meharry. She was educated in Trimble Bottom, the great 20th century writer. Another person that a lot of people don't know that was educated here briefly for kindergarten, Tennessee Williams, was educated at the old Peabody Demonstration School, and the janitor at the time was William Edmondson, the great African-American sculptor. So what was going on over there? Wow. And my final classroom memory While I was at law school, at Vanderbilt Law School, next door to me, a future mayor was being educated at the Owen School of Business in a classroom. And so classrooms create leaders, classrooms create ideas, classrooms are about learning. We all learn from our experiences. This classroom will bring people together. This classroom will continue to do the hard things that Dr. Lowry talked about. Sometimes life is not easy, but you come in a classroom, you learn how to have discourse, you learn what true work ethic is, and today we are honored to have this space full of leaders, full of future students that made this happen. So on behalf of everyone, thank you, Dr. Lowry, for your vision to turn this space into a lively crossroads that will educate, that will inspire, and that spark that will come will be beneficial to the city. Thank you.
Well, it would be a nightmare to follow any one of the people who have spoken ahead of me, but to follow all four of them, welcome to downtown, I'm done. Yeah. I do want to say, Tom Turner, how many people live in downtown Nashville? 10,000 and 65,000 employed. Anything else? Let me just say, the resource, the investment that Lipscomb has made and the resource that this will be for this pulsating center of this region is key to the vitality of this community. Especially now, just before transit begins to exist with the intensity that we all need and that we all desire going forward. Everyone here desire that transit intensity? Okay. Good, good, good. There's a petition that you can sign to make that official. I just want to say thanks for this investment. I've had the opportunity to already participate in the CEO Connect program here. It was such a pleasure on a Friday evening to leave my office, walk up the street a couple of blocks, walk in here, meet with Lipscomb students. The resource that this provides to our business community and the individuals that live here and work here, the convenience of this location, the quality of what takes place in this space, it's just a great investment and a great payoff. So on behalf of Tom and I, the Chamber and the Downtown Partnership, welcome to downtown Nashville, and we can't wait to be a part of the great programs that are going to take place here.
So we wanted you to have an opportunity to meet some of our students and some of our partners as we do this. I want to invite two of our MBA students, Ashton Proctor and Stephanie Spellman, to come join me up here. I also want to invite Rob Touchstone, who is the founder of The Well, to come join us also. So as we think about Spark and all that we'll be offering, really, we like to describe it now with the partnership of The Well as everything from a cup of coffee to a master's degree. And what we hope is that this will become a very unique leadership resource for the downtown community, to where literally for leaders who want to continue their education, they will have an opportunity to do that right here. Or perhaps for leaders who just want to have a cup of coffee with somebody, with an associate, they'll have the opportunity to do that here as well, and everything in between. And so, Ashton, let me start with you real quick. You work at HCA. You're in our Downtown MBA program. Tell us a little bit about your experience in that program and how it made it more accessible for you.
Alrighty. Is this?
I think so, yeah.
Okay, I can talk loud if not. I started my MBA very freshly out of my undergraduate at UT. I was not expecting to begin it so early, but I was just kind of putting some feelers out there for what I would want, and Lipscomb seemed like the right fit. But when they told me about this new program that was downtown, it was a no-brainer for me. because I work at our corporate offices right off of West End, and I can get here in 15 minutes if I leave early, which I do a lot of days. I meet up with some classmates for coffee. We go over the homework. The relationships I've made through the program has been awesome, and she's I had no clue that we worked together until we became friends in the program, and so often we'll ping each other on IM, hey, can you meet for lunch today? I have a few questions on this homework assignment, and we'll bounce ideas off of each other. And it's just been so enriching to be able to come to school downtown Nashville. I'll have after work events, and I'll just go to those real quick and then come on down here. And so it's seriously awesome to just be so convenient to what I'm used to here in downtown.
Stephanie, tell us a little bit about your experience being a downtown Lipscomb student, and now that Spark's opened, a little bit of your experience being a student here at Spark.
I moved here 2 years ago, and Nashville was such a big city to me, and being able to not only work in like the Midtown West End area, but being able to be so close to school was such a convenient thing for me. Being close to that, meeting the people I meet and being able to work and enhance my career, this program has created such a, I'm gonna get emotional, like a life-changing experience for me to be able to be a part of it, and I'm honored to be here and talk with you guys, and it's just bringing me not only closer to my work, but it's bringing me closer to my goals, and I'm very grateful.
Absolutely, and as we think about the different offerings, you've heard from Ashton and Stephanie a little bit in terms of, and it's a bit what David said, as far as what happens in here is really about people. This is a space, but it's really the interaction between people that makes such a difference in the lives. And so whether that be pursuing a master's degree, as you all are doing, or it's even an executive education level. And so, for example, our CEO Connect program, to where we bring 24 business leaders and give them the opportunity to engage in conversation and relationship with 18 CEOs over the course of about 6 to 8 months. That program, we've already seen the same kind of dynamic where people say, just thank you for creating the environment to where I can interact with folks in a way that will change my life. And that's what we want to be about at all different levels here. Rob, let me turn to you. Rob is the founder of The Well. Rob was a member of our College of Bible faculty and was inspired to go and launch a coffee shop, not knowing that coffee shop would actually change his academic discipline that he now teaches in. Rob is a member of our College of Business at Lipscomb and has built out a highly popular, growing chain of coffee houses that is now spreading across Nashville, and we are absolutely thrilled that The Well will open in about a week and be a partner with us right here at Spark and serving the downtown community. And so, Rob, share with us a little bit in terms of the vision for The Well and your vision specifically for The Well in downtown.
Yeah, thank you, John. I love that David mentioned classroom collaboration, and we're here to talk about the other C word that's very important in Nashville, and that is coffee. You know, what connects people better than coffee or caffeine? It kind of sometimes turns our brain on a little bit better, but it also is such a great way to connect. And so The Well is a social enterprise that's designed to connect people as we sit around table and as we serve as a hub for all of the great things going on in Nashville. We're looking forward to being downtown and collaborating with Spark to be a place where people can come together to serve and to collaborate to better serve our city. The Well's a social enterprise designed to not only bring people together locally, but to create profit that blesses people's lives globally through clean water efforts. So our goal is to serve together downtown and to invite people into that opportunity. We do lots of things that build community. We consider ourselves to be community builders. One of my favorite things that we do, we have a wishing well, and if you haven't wandered over into the Well's space yet, please do so afterward. We have a wishing well area that invites anyone in the community to come and to share a need, and then for the community to look at that board and to say, hey, I could help that. I could do something to make an impact. And so this is an opportunity for the community to collaborate in serving one another. We also love to bring people together to think about issues in our city and around the world that we can address and play a role as a social enterprise to make a difference. So The Well is trying to create a global and a local impact all through coffee by turning, we like to say, coffee into clean water and turning coffee into community.
Would you join me in thanking Ashton, Stephanie, and Rob for being here? Before Michael Weingart comes and closes, I want to just extend to all of you an invitation, whether it be a cup of coffee or a master's degree, or just an opportunity to think about how to become a stronger leader. We hope that you will come here and take advantage of all the different resources that we will be bringing to you at Spark. Thank you for being here. Michael?
For a moment, I want to ask you, what is the most pressing challenge leaders face today? To answer that question, I want to take you to the UK. 5 years ago, President Lowry asked me to meet him in London to look at some facilities for our study abroad program. This is the coastal town of and the Westgate Hotel in Newport, Wales. And it was the first facility we visited, and I was pretty excited. This is a historic hotel until I got inside. And I saw this and that, and all of a sudden, my heart just sank. And when we got to this ballroom, Dr. Lowry says, "Can't you just hear the music?" And at that moment, I was reminded that there are two people in the world, two types of people. Some that see pianos, and others, like myself, that see pigeons. This whole building was infested with pigeons, okay? Now, when you go to this facility, this is what it looked like. And I invite you, when we're done, to walk around this space, see some of the pictures on the wall behind me. But if I would have walked through this facility, I would have seen not pigeons, but rats and other things, right? Or that. But it was transformed to what we're standing in today. So here's the challenge that most business leaders face. They know that value propositions, business models, growth engines can become obsolete overnight, right? And the challenge becomes, how do I manage the present, the pigeons of the day-to-day routine, and balance that simultaneously with orchestrating and creating the future? The pianos. What kind of person are you? Do you see pigeons, or do you see pianos, or do you see both? And that's the challenge. How do you balance that? And that's why Spark is here. That's why Spark is a space to focus intentionally on those issues. It's never been more needed than today and than now. And so we're excited to say Spark is open for business, and we invite you to come back time and time again for coffee, for learning, for conversations. It's a great time, a great space. As you leave, we're in the habit of bringing world-renowned thought leaders to campus, to Spark, and we have a little gift to commemorate this day. We have 3 books to choose from, all signed copies, one from President Bush, one from Magic Johnson, or this one that's in its pre-release from Donald Miller, Building Your Own Story Brand. And he talks about, in this book, how to balance that dilemma of managing today versus looking at the future at the same time. Thank you for coming. We're dismissed.